if you look at the fitness industry from the outside, everyone claims to be everything for everyone. The reality is the fitness industry is made up of multiple different streams that are better suited to different people at different times of their life. And today we're going to kick off a series where we're covering exactly what the right thing is for the right person. And then the following episodes, we are going to deep dive in to commercial gyms, personal training, small group training, and online training, and give you guys a rundown on exactly why that might be the right fit for you right now and where the limitations might fall too. So Nath, we're back. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you, Jacob. Excited to talk all things gym, as per usual, but also just dive into the nitty-gritty of these over the course of this series and just try and give the listeners a little bit more, I guess, insight and education around it so they can make informed decisions, really. I think a lot of it gets really blurred and sits in this grey of just a gym's a gym, but there is a lot of different options that are suitable for different people at different times throughout their training journey. So hopefully this can help clear up and give you the right tool for the right job at the right time.
So I guess, like, where do people get it wrong and choose the wrong thing for them to start off with?
I think it's just a lack of education at first, and they know what they know, and it's to no fault of their own, and they assume a gym is just this thing you go to and you have to train yourself. And there might be some personal trainers hanging around in there, but they don't know the options or what they need most of the time. They just kind of swing for the fences and see what happens, and they might just Google gyms near me and just go to the one that's closest, and then hopefully it works out. And
location is obviously a big one for a lot of people too. Like we know that for the most part, most people are going to train somewhere within 10 to 15 minutes of either where they live or where they work, for the most part. But then alongside that, then it kind of just comes down to the only question that people know what to ask, because they don't know, hey, what sort of program should be right for me? So the question they ask is, what's the price? But in reality, there's probably a few other questions that maybe the business should be asking of you, but also maybe you should be asking of yourself to really define what it is that you actually need for where you are right now. The first one of those is like, are you self-sufficient? Are you independent? Are you self-motivated and so on to turn up there? Or do you need some assistance, some accountability, some coaching, some direction and those sort of things there?
Yeah, for sure. I think just to touch on that, Jake, I think the biggest thing for the listeners in separating is it's like, you after a service or a facility. Like both, they'll intertwine and both will exist. So I think that's probably the easiest thing for the listeners to try and navigate this. It's like some people, like you said, that are autonomous. They're after potentially just a facility and access. But there's other people that are after service, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah, and then like I guess a big one as alongside that is like community too. Like, are you after? Do you want people to train around, or like there is a person that they just want to get in, headphones in, and just sort of do their own thing? And that's a very important factor to figure out of what's the right thing for you there.
100%, and it's dynamic too.
Yeah, it's I guess there is the right thing for you right now, and then there's also, you should be flexible in like graduating from those things or up and down scaling depending on what you need. So let's dive in quickly, and we're going to keep this one simple because we are going to deep dive over the next few weeks. But of the four main streams, and obviously there's hybrid models and so on that we won't get into the depths of today. But our first one, probably where everyone first starts in the gym, the commercial gym, the big box, the anytime fitnesses, the world gyms. In essence, what is it really?
It's a facility.
Yeah. You're basically like renting their equipment, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think they're trying, some particular ones are trying to encourage like more community and a few other things. But at the end of the day, it's, yes, you're paying for access. You're accessing the facility, the equipment, and all those other things that come with it.
Yeah, and they're really great. Like that's where I first started. You first started in similar sort of boat, I believe.
Yeah, anytime was my first.
Yeah. And it can serve its purpose for quite a lot of people, and also at different stages through the fitness journey as well for people. There is different molds of these. There's obviously 24/7. There's ones that are kind of a little bit more specialized, like where you do see things like your powerlifting-esque commercial gyms and so on that are starting to pop up now. And then there's the ones that are a little bit more boutique-y as well, where it's a little bit more decked out. The vibe is a specific way, like the all black. It looks sick, I must say, but it's definitely for a certain type of people too.
Yeah, look, if I had
good mirrors and good
if I
lighting
had
and stuff.
unlimited funds and I could just do anything, I would have one.
Yeah, as well.
be honest, I'd
It
have
wouldn't
one as
replace it wouldn't replace new strength, but
No, I
we'd
think
have
that's
one
what
just
we'll
for its cool.
get into here. It's just not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like people will assume like it's a gym and a different kind. It's like apples and oranges. It's just not the same.
Yeah, and it looks the same. The equipment's typically like it's somewhat the same. There's some carryover. There's some differences in there in terms of what they buy us there, and also like the business models are incredibly different as well. So, who is the commercial gym for in a general nutshell? Like, let's keep it short.
Yeah, it's generally going to be for someone who, like you said, is quite autonomous. They're self-motivated, and they're not always, but a lot of the time they have some kind of experience where I don't think that is a must, but a lot of the time it's suiting that person and it's allowing them to be able to do what they need to do and allow that access for that to happen, essentially. And to something that you touched on before, some people do just enjoy training by themselves and they're not looking for a community or that social engagement. They want to be able to go somewhere, like you said, put the headphones in, go into their own world, not be bothered, do their thing and leave. And it allows that to happen because obviously that is not allowed at New Strength. That is not allowed. And the reason is we try and make sure that we can foster connection and community and the things that we really value highly. And it's not to say one's wrong or right. It just comes back to it's different. So I think that'll be the main key points there, Jake.
Yeah, and I guess like the core thing when we do look at these, like as the commercial gyms, is their strengths really come in like a lot of them have these flexible schedules, like they're in the fob access. You can go at any time. You're not into a class structure where it's like, all right, the class starts at 4. So if I knock off work early, I can't necessarily just jump in early. I've still got to wait around till 4. If you knock off early for a day, you can just jump straight in and get your session done. They're typically cheap, but the kicker for you guys when you listen to this is they're cheap not because they're cheap. They're cheap because of the 10 other people that they're banking on that aren't turning up that are subsidizing your own your membership cost.
Yeah, it's we don't have to go into the business model much, but generally they just have a higher lifetime value. So you do the multiple of like whatever it is now, like $25 a week or something. They'll know that on average people stay for
the contracted for 12 months to start off with.
But generally, even then, it's just they just want to have it there just in case they get the spark of motivation to come back. And those people really pay for most of it. And it doesn't take, like, for people listening, it's just quick maths. Like, they will need 500 to 1,000 members generally to be doing well and be able to do what they need to do. And if you look at the actual footprint of the commercial gyms, they are never fitting anywhere close to that many people in there. So when you look at the model, it is banking on that some people will utilise it for what it is and other people will just have it there as an afterthought or a backup or a little bit of an insurance policy for when some motivation sparks. But we'll move on from that.
Yeah. And then like they typically have a variety of equipment there as well. Like they're a bit of a kids in a candy store. Like that's probably how I describe when Nathan and I go, if we're away for on business events and so on and we jump into a commercial gym, we don't necessarily follow our normal program because we go and do all the things that we don't normally have access to. All of these pieces of equipment are generally somewhere between like $2,000 and $5,000 a piece, and they take up a big footprint relative to it. But the commercial gym model doesn't necessarily want you doing supersets, circuits, etc. Like it doesn't have the room for that there. If there is 50 people in the gym and they're constantly moving around and they're all doing their own thing, it's really difficult. So it's kind of these machine-based things where you kind of are static, where it's like I do my set on the machine, I have my rest, I do my next set, flows into helping support the chaos that could ensue if everyone was doing superset circuits and so on through there. What's the limitations of the commercial gym? Where does it come unstuck for the person who maybe it's not necessarily right for?
I think we can probably capture a lot of the limitations in the autonomy or the required autonomy. So you have to be autonomous in your scheduling and showing up and autonomous in your ability to train yourself effectively. And you're not necessarily getting the guidance or the accountability or direction or support that you might need to actually make this thing stick. So it's really leans heavily on you being autonomous throughout this journey. And hence that kind of echoes what we said before. Not everyone is autonomous, and that's fine. But they kind of bank on that to make sure there isn't 700 people in at 5 p.m., which is just physically impossible. So I think the limitation is you're really, really banking on yourself to be able to do everything.
And there's just not that layer of I'm not going to say they don't care. Like, I do think the people who are starting these gyms do care. But there's not I haven't been to the gym in the week. I'm getting a phone call to be like, hey, Jacob, where are you? Is everything all right? Work busy? What's going on? We haven't seen you at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember there being a line in one of the trainings that I heard through a friend who was working the commercial gyms, and it was like, what do we call all these people that they haven't turned up? And I was like, no, don't call the sleepers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why? And it's like, well, either they're going to do one of two things. If they all turn up, they're going to overwhelm the gym, or two, they're going to realize they've been spending the money on it and they're going to quit, which means that we no longer make money on it there. And once again, we're not going to go into the business of the commercial gyms there, but there's not the pick-me-up to get you back into the gym if you've fallen off the wagon, because that's not their priority. Their priority is looking after the people and giving the people who are in there a clean, good experience in the gym that are there. So let's streamline it into number two. And number two is a pretty broad topic, and there's a lot of variation here, but this is where partially where we sit is the group training model. So this kind of has a bit of variety from boot camps, like you might be still outdoor boot camps, through to CrossFit, your circuit classes, and then into the structured strength conditioning sort of model like what we run as well. Essentially, it's like they're guided workouts or coach-led workouts done in a group with multiple people in there. It's more on a timetable. Who's this for? And I guess this is a loaded one, because this is probably the most broad of who this could be for.
Yeah, we're going to dive deeper on this another time, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to have this. This is going to be a standalone episode for you guys.
Yeah, okay. This is, a loaded question. Thanks, Jake. It's going to be for people that need a hand to reach out and kind of pull them in and help them, essentially, is how I see it, Jake. So they aren't completely autonomous. It might be new to them, so they potentially could be a beginner. The thought of going into a gym's overwhelming and they're not quite sure how to navigate that. But essentially, it's bridging a gap. Like the group model bridges a gap. It could be a social one where they feel like they're safe, seen, supported. It could be that they just need the motivation. They need the accountability, and they need that structure that keeps it sticky for them. And it makes it remain as something that's scheduled and not just squeezed in as an afterthought. And not to touch too much on that, because if we'll call group training like the umbrella, and then when we dive deeper into this in that specific episode, we can unpack it. But I think it's just people that just need a bit of a hand, or are looking for more than just a gym or more than just access. And they're like, surely this can be more than just this thing. I turn up and do my thing and leave. And I think group training is that next point.
Yeah, I think it's we can simply look, and there is like layers of this where it's more hedged on the social accountability, the fun, the variety, and so on. And then there is where we are looking towards people who are maybe been around gyms a little bit more, but they want to have the structure, the purpose. They want to be pulled along to where they want to go in their goals there, and it's maybe a little bit more of a, not necessarily advanced training, but a bit more structured training where it's going somewhere. There's pieces there, and it's, I guess the general gist of this is like you have guidance on it there. Like there's social and there's guidance on where you want to go.
100% trust.
Yeah.
I'll just add to that, to add with the guidance, there's also a trust factor where it's like I can go to this place, do this thing, and trust that I'm going to be moving towards where I want to go.
So where might that be a limiter for different people?
Limitations can sometimes be around like scheduling. It's to umbrella it, odds, like the limitation specificity, specific to a goal or an outcome that someone might want. So if the goal's specific enough, we're going to need a specific training program around that. It could be specific to scheduling. So the person's needs, so they have a specific schedule and it's like, I just can't make these group times. I need something at a certain time. And then
or a mismatch on that of like the two of them together. Like I've got this goal that I want to go to that, yes, that does fit in the umbrella of what the group's going to, but I can only make Monday, Thursday, Friday, and the day that we're working towards that's on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I can't make those days. Like
100%.
It's probably the puzzle pieces of all those ones together, right?
Yeah, and the other specificity points is generally injury or like a specific need for the person that can't be navigated in a group setting, where it becomes a limitation where I have X circumstance that's specific to me, and this general approach in this group setting isn't going to fit that.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna add another one. You have to talk to people too. That's like for some people that's a limitation. You probably do have to say hello. You can't just headphones in and ignore everyone around you.
Yeah, no,
some people might talk a little bit too much. Trace, if you're listening, we love you, Trace, but I know I was picking on Trace yesterday
At least
afternoon.
she always has good stuff to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
It's never a boring conversation with
And she's got plenty of banter coming back my way too, so I deserve it. So, so I think group training is a great option for a lot of people. I do think it's then sometimes becomes limiting down the longer route, and we'll talk about this in the specificity, because you do make those connections that might keep you tied in, even though it might not necessarily serve you in the same way that you're hoping it to anymore. There could be like a longer term progression there, and sometimes that is just the right thing, the right place for the right time too. Last one on our in-person, we're going to dive into personal training, and this is going to encapsulate personal training and then also the semi-private personal training sector as well when we talk about it today. And then when we deep dive on personal training, we'll go into like a little bit more of the depths of each one of these and why they might be a little bit different for different people there. But give me a rundown of what is personal training, Nath?
Personal training is...
So what is personal training, and what is most gyms doing when they say personal training can be different?
Yes. So again, loaded, but we'll jump into that when we go into the depths. But personal training is generally a specific program for a specific person for a specific outcome. Specificity is the gap. Like that gets filled with that. It's very specific to the person's
circuit
need.
of the day, repeated again and again for each client.
No, this will be an interesting app when we jump into it deeply. But no, it's specificity. So we're looking at meeting the person exactly where they're at, giving them the attention, giving them the program exactly best suited to them in the format and the frequency and all of those things. So it's pretty much if we had no holds barred on anything, and it's just this is what we'll do. We don't have to fit the program to you. It's just everything's going to be developed for what you need at this specific time.
Yeah, ultimately, like personal training or like having a personal coach is like we meet you exactly where you're at, and we come up with a plan together and go towards that long-term goal that you have for yourself. And that's a really big thing that we're looking at in that way there. How it's done can look a little bit different, as you said, the one-on-one or the semi-private model, but essentially it's about meeting the person where they're at and going on a journey together. So ultimately, who do we think that's best fit for most of the time?
It has a lot of value, like especially for beginners, Jake, like people that have never done anything before, never stepped foot in a gym. Like you can use the group model to do that, and it can be done effectively. Sometimes people need to be met a little bit closer. They're not ready to do that yet. So to actually meet someone at that point in their journey where it goes, look, we can do this in a setting where it'll be you and me, and we're going to navigate this thing together and build a foundation or get you towards this goal. So beginners, it's really good. People that want really specific outcomes, so you can think like athletes, someone that has a deadline on some kind of fitness venture, even a wedding, like an event or a lifestyle thing. It's like, I have this thing on this exact day, and I need to make sure I come in at this certain point and this certain time. So sometimes a group model will fit that, but then a lot of the time, the more specific we get with this outcome this individual wants, it's better off doing an individualized approach, because we can dictate and determine outcomes across the timeline, because we control more variables, essentially.
Yeah. And I guess like the strengths obviously come into that there. We can control more things. We can have more guidance. It's direct, like eyes are on you on every facet, whether it's training, nutrition, and so on. Like we're generally in the personal training setting, we're going to dive deeper into things in that lens there. And then ultimately, I guess the big piece of it there is like it is the ultimate layer of accountability too. Like it's we do know many of our clients over the years too is like, I will, like, if it's a group class, I'm still probably going to cancel. Like, even if I'm paying for group classes, I'm probably still, like, I'm not tied into it. But if I know that Nath is sitting there waiting for me at 5 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to get my butt there at 5 a.m. in the morning.
You're a good person.
Yeah. generally it does the trick there.
That was a joke, by the way. That was a joke.
Yeah. It's, every personal trainer has gone through sitting there, got out of bed in the 3s or the 4s, waiting for that 5 a.m. client, and then at about 5:15 being like, oh shit, I forgot to set my alarm, and your head just drops. You're like, oh my God. Relatable for many personal trainers. It is part of the experience that I think you need to go through.
Absolutely.
The limitations of personal training, I think ultimately the first one is like, it's not cheap. Like,
no, it's not cheap.
It's probably, and to be honest, it's probably cheaper than what it should be.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's not cheap, but it is cheap. When you realise the actual cost of it from behind that point of view as someone that's consuming the product and the service, like the consumer standpoint, when you get to the other side, like it sounds like $100 an hour sounds great, but it really doesn't go far. When you break it down, I think actually Glenn, shout out to the man, had a video that was quite popular breaking down the actual profit on a coffee. And it's not the same, but it's very simple.
It was in the cents, wasn't it?
It was in the cents, yeah. It was in the cents, and it was just really not much at all. And people go in like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're charging $8 for a coffee. They must be making a killing. Very similar where people look at it from the outside looking in. It's like, oh, those personal trainers charge whatever it is an hour. But when you actually have to have rent and tax and insurance and all these other things, that gets eaten away so quickly. And I was the same when I started, like, young, and like I could do that. I could earn a half decent living. I love what I do, and I've obviously stuck that out. But it doesn't go as far as you'd assume. But then also we have to try and make it as accessible as possible for the people that need it. So it's always the same. It's like we need to make sure we can survive, but we also need to make sure that it's accessible. Yeah, and it's just finding the balance.
And then the second one is like time dependency too. Like ultimately, like if you've got strict time demands on your own training time. Like I have to train at 5 a.m. to fit it in with my family schedule, life schedule, and so on. There probably serves a lot of other people. And if you're in the personal training setting, like they've probably got one spot at that 5 a.m. So like it's pretty hard to get in. And particularly if everyone wants the best personal trainer, right? Like you don't want to, nobody puts into, like I see it all in the little Facebook groups, is like nobody asks like, who's the third best personal trainer in Newcastle? It's like, who's the best personal trainer in Newcastle?
Only two exist, Jacob. The best and the worst.
Yeah. So there's two things people. So who's the best personal trainer that doesn't cost an arm and a leg is the two questions that people ask for. It's not like, oh, who's the third or the fifth best, and so on. So everyone wants the best person, and ultimately those people are going to be limited in their time to get access to, but they're limited in their time because they're great at what they do. So I think ultimately, like when we do look at personal training, it's a really great starting point for people, and we'll dive into that when we go specifically on the personal training section there. And we look at ultimately you want to graduate from that there into which other model that you're looking for as you go. But let's move on to our last one to wrap this episode up quickly. The online coaching world. It's the newest one.
It is.
We've had our opinions on this over time, and we will deep dive into this in a standalone episode in a few weeks' time. But what is it? What does it look like? It is actually another, once again, it's a very broad topic there, but what do people get when they get an online program? And I guess the first thing is there's layers of, there's an online program and then there's online coaching.
Yes.
So if you want to dive into that, Nate.
Deep dive, we'll stay quick. Yes, online like coaching. So you essentially, there's layers to this, but if we talk about someone actually getting coached, it's someone trying to offer personal training through an online format so the person can access the gym on their own and then they can lead and direct and create value there. But it's very varied on experience, same as personal training in this gym setting as well. But it's a really good question. It's where I think people can have an easier entry. It's more flexible. So it allows that flexibility if someone's traveling a lot or can't be in the same place, maybe with work commitments or family demands and things like this, then it can allow someone to be a consistent influence and to coach them through, but they don't have to actually see them in person. They can just have that person there in their corner, in their pocket really, to help lead them forward. It's the cost, not always. I actually don't agree with this anymore. I don't think it's any cheaper. I think some people do it cheaper to try and create volume, but people that are doing it well, it seems to be pretty close.
I actually reckon it's like if you want the best of the best in this case here, and this is the point of like the upside is you do have access to anyone in the world that does it. Like you're not confined to like who's the best personal trainer within 10 minutes of me.
Radius,
like it's who's the best person at the thing that I want to achieve. And like I've had a like remote coaching from multiple different people when I was competing in strongman there. I've followed the general like the remote programming broader sense ones of those as well in the past, just to get my hands on like seeing what somebody else was doing and how they were looking at things. And yeah, like it's really good because you can, like when I was in strongman, I didn't have to go like who's the best strongman coach in Newcastle, because there probably wasn't one at that time.
Yes.
Like it was very,
Yeah.
very new. It was who's the best strongman coach that I can access around and that knows what we're doing. And then I was able to work with Lee for a period of time, like Annalise that works with us. She's been working with him for a few years now. And that was a massive upside, is like you got to leverage on that there. The reality though is like, it's no cheaper than actually going and seeing somebody in person when you get somebody who's great at it there.
Yeah.
The cheaper ones is when it's typically cookie cutter, like where it's like you're getting these
Everyone's doing the
ChatGPT
same
programs
thing.
and
Yeah.
you're not actually getting an individualized experience, or it's somebody who is maybe just trying, like just dabbling. Like they're like, I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I know not like I love that anyone is wanting to get involved in fitness, but there is people that are like, oh yeah, cool, I do like online coaching, but I work in the mines during the week. Like that's my 9 to 5, and it's like I just get a couple of play bucks with that there, and that pays for whatever I want to do on the weekend.
Yeah, 100%, Jake. I think it's so varied. So when we go deep dive on this, I think it'll be cool to pull some things out. But it can be like online coaching can be great for almost anyone, but it really depends on the coach. Realistically, like, because you have exactly what you said. You'll have people that are really good at it and have a really personalized approach that can work and they can meet you where they're at. So I think that can bridge a lot of things for people. But then also with growth of that generally comes this volume game with some people, and they need to have, I don't know, 500 clients on 1,000 clients on a program. And what happens in that sense is the individualization generally stops, and then they go into a system that kind of spits it out. And in the back end, generally they'll just use AI for the nutrition and for the programming, which is getting better, but it would depend on the person. Like it's so person dependent.
Yeah. I'm going to say I do believe that the online is actually for a more advanced person. I don't think it's like somebody fresh to get in the gym, because the feedback on your form and technique is too slow. It's like, all right, cool. If you are like, if the person is actually even looking at it, which typically like they're not in the first sense, or the more advanced people, if it is a specific, like I'm doing strongman coaching, is like Lee used to review my videos, but he also could only go off what I gave him.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't give him the right angle, he can only like, oh, it's hard to tell on here. Like try to get this next week. By the time you actually get the feedback to like implement it, it's 3 weeks down the road. Like you already have ingrained a bad habit. So I do think that if you are getting started in the gym, you probably more so want to have somebody in person that can give you direct feedback then and there, whether that's a personal trainer or whether that's just nearly everyone knows a buddy who knows how to train.
Yeah.
Like grab your mate and get him to look at it. Like I would much prefer for somebody's listener is like, I don't know what I'm doing in the gym. If your options are like drag your buddy in or get this online program, it's like, okay, kind of do both, or like get an online thing or whatever that is. If you kind of budget towards going and seeing somebody in person, just grab a buddy that kind of knows, like that lifts, and get a bit of advice from them firsthand, and then you can go and dive into the online world.
100%.
I think that's the best way to get started. So let's wrap this up. What are the key questions that you would be getting somebody to ask themselves before they join up to a certain part of the industry or part of the fitness industry?
Yes, that is a very good question, Jacob. I think you need to get clear on, are you looking for access, or are you looking for outcomes as a start? And then from there, it's like, what do you actually need? Like, do I need accountability? Is that something that's a blind spot for me, and that keeps this false start happening? So we need to look at behaviors and patterns and what's happened in the past, and why, I guess, motivation may have not stuck yet. Like, is it a motivation problem, or is it that you don't actually have systems and accountability? So I think, what do you need? Like, is it accountability? Is it coaching to create clarity and direction? Is it the social aspect? Is like, do I need a positive influence in my life? And that's positive people that have the beliefs, the values, and the actions that I want to embody and be surrounded by and become the average of. So it could be community culture. That's a big fit from there. And then outside of that, it's like, do I need a structure? Like, do I need a structure to get to where I need to go from there? And that's really where we're going to be able to ask the questions that can help the listeners determine what the solution is at that point in time. And I think it's important to highlight that is it's a journey, and you'll have different things. Like, we have people that come in and do personal training and then transition into the group program because they've gotten to that point in time. So I think it's important to revisit and ask those questions on a regular ongoing basis. We do generally every quarter. We're trying to reevaluate where everyone's at.
Yeah, like
that will help.
We have that conversation with with our PT clients. Like I was having this conversation yesterday with one of my clients who come through, had a major injury and then has been trying to get his way back, and he's pretty good now. And the conversation was like, oh, what's the next steps for you? Like and transparently, I don't want somebody paying more to train with me more just because that's what they were doing before if they don't need it anymore. Yeah, I'd rather 100%. Them get them into the right fit for what they want to do.
It's outcomes.
Yeah. Like ultimately, if you're in the business, you want to be training to outcomes, not just dollars, like solely. Like you obviously need to make enough dollars to be able to pay your rent and so on. It's like you want to be training to outcomes and the person getting what they're after.
Yep.
And then if they're moving on, that's great. Exactly. The only thing that I will add to what you said there is like if the person doesn't know, like what do I need? Mm-hmm. It's generally the best thing is like find somewhere where you've been successful elsewhere in your life and try to model what those things were.
Yeah.
So if you were really good at turning up to train and fitness and stuff when you were playing sport, what did that look like? Oh, I played footy. I had teammates around me, so I had social constructs there. I had a coach that they were putting together the programs. Like, what are those things? Like, how are you successful at work? And you can pull from those things of where you can be successful elsewhere and go, well, what's the framework here that helps me achieve the outcome that I want to do? Mm-hmm. And then if I can build that from there, then I'm going to get towards or being more likely to have success in the outcomes and going towards my goals for my health and fitness. Mm-hmm. So that's probably just sometimes because if you've never achieved your fitness goals before, you don't know where to start with. Mm-hmm. What do I need? It's like, I don't know. So 100%. That's where's a good place for you to start, for you to understand and not get sold by somebody on what you should have when you just don't know. So you're just assuming that they're right. Yeah. So let's wrap up there. Basically, as we said, this is an overview of the fitness industry and all the different pieces for you guys. Over the next few weeks, we are going to be diving deep into each one of these models. We're going to cover a few of the hybrid models that you'll see sort of popping up through these different things here as well, so that you can understand which is the right fit for you, and then also how to optimize your results in that circumstance. So if you are in a commercial gym and maybe you are more likely to be better suited towards group, but you can't budget towards it, like how can you still succeed in that there? Given your own circumstances. So that's us for the New Strength Way again today, guys, and we'll see you guys back here next week when we cover the commercial gyms.